Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of eSchool for Social Studies. Today, we are going to switch gears. We're not really talking about the Holocaust anymore, but we are still talking about World War II. And so, World War II really was this global war, like even more so than World War I. And even though Europe was like going crazy with Hitler and most of the countries in Europe were fighting there, and even the United States, when they did get involved with the war, ended up sending soldiers over there as well. There was also a war going on in the Pacific Ocean, and specifically with Japan. And so this week we're going to actually look at that part of World War II. And a lot of like movies are done about this, and especially about like the United States involvement in the Pacific, but it is called like Japanese expansion, or it's also called the Pacific Theater because it was in the Pacific Ocean. All right. So our objective for today is going to be that students will be able to explain how Japanese expansion led to World War II using textual evidence to support their historical argument. The essential question is going to be, how did Japanese expansion lead to the start of World War II? So the United States, even though World War II actually started in 1939, the United States did not get involved until 1941 with a very big event that happened that you will be reading about today. This is just one of the vocab words that we have today. We actually have quite a bit, but this is a really big one, Japanese expansion. So what this is a time period from 1931 to 1942 in which Japan attacked and took control of other countries in the Pacific. So remember, the Treaty of Versailles happened, and the Treaty of Versailles was decided on, where Germany was blamed for a lot of things. And all of World War I and had to deal with a lot of things. The Great Depression happened, right? And when the Great Depression happened in the 30s, it really took all of the countries that were involved with the Treaty of Versailles and World War I, it took everything they had to take care of themselves at home. So while that was happening, Japan was over in like Southeast Asia, and they started taking over areas there. And because it was like more removed from the United States and the other countries in Europe, because they were also dealing with the Great Depression, people didn't really get involved too much with that, okay? But it also gave the Japanese like a lot of, they would like go to all these different, now countries, but all these different islands and all these different places within Asia and would take over, right? And claim that as their land. Okay. So the do now for today is you're going to look at these two pictures and complete the questions below. So picture number 1 is, who do you think was most responsible for starting World War II? Okay, and then based off of this photo here, right, the person most responsible was, and in this first photo it shows. Now, the second question is, use clues from the second photo, so this one here, to guess how World War II ended. So based on the second photo, World War II most likely ended by, okay, so you are answering those questions with these sentence stems. When you are done with that, you're going to move on to this part that says direct instruction, and I'm going to walk you through it. So we didn't talk too much this year about primary and secondary sources. Not really, but you've slowly learned. I know this is something that you would have learned last year if you had Miss Izagirre. And we did talk about it so far in eSchool, I think starting with last week. So you should be familiar. If you are not, if you look over where it says supplemental resources for additional learning, you can look here and look at examples of primary source, like what it is. And then you have examples or like explanation of what secondary source is. And what you're going to do in this part here, you're going to highlight the correct answer using the highlight toolbar. So you're going to identify if this example here is a primary or a secondary source. All three, you have 3 of them to do. All 3 of them are about World War II. And so know that the time period, you are studying World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945. Okay, so let's do 3 together, and then you'll do 4 and 5 on your own. You read a soldier's letter home about a battle they fought in 1942. What type of source is this? So we're looking. Did this person write it at the time of World War II? If World War II occurred in 1939, 1945. Well, he wrote it in 1942. So yes, it is happening at the time. He wrote a letter, meaning his own words, about something he experienced, this battle that was during World War II. So this source here is a primary source. Okay? You need to finish 4 and 5, and then you can click back on a video for the vocabulary instruction.